Hello, welcome to Tutors of Life podcast, where we research life so you don't have to. Episode 371. This is your host, Shaun Tutor.
And this is Sam. And this is a Tutor episode where we try to teach you something new.
We have been hitting these early in anticipation of possibly having a child. So it is Tuesday, one day after the man, the one, the only, Donald Trump is back in office. And I couldn't be happier. I skipped work for most of the day to watch the inauguration.
First inauguration we've ever watched.
We started watching at what? 10 a.m.?
Yeah.
Watched until 2. Or like
10:30. 10:30.
10:30 to 1.
Yeah. 1:30 probably.
1:30, okay. Took a little respite. Went and got some shit done. We couldn't be complete bums. Few hours of work done. Back to TV. 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Back on that bitch until 10.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Fuck, was it good.
I didn't realize how much shit they do on inauguration.
I had no idea. I think I got 3 hours of work in yesterday, and I don't even give a fuck. Mm-hmm. It was amazing. Worth taking vacay time just to fucking watch my boy get in, dude.
It was awesome.
Oh, it was so good. Nothing makes me happier. The executive orders that he was signing, the speech he was giving. Oh, man. Multiple speeches. His inauguration speech was beautiful. Mm-hmm. Calling out the shit show of the last administration.
Not a whole lot.
It's pretty fair. Yeah. He was calling it out worse later when he was signing executive orders.
Yeah, and he was like talking about it too, about how like his advisors told him like your inaugurational speech should be more about bringing people together. So then he's like, okay, well, I'm bringing this up later in the day. And they're like, okay, that's fine.
That's badass, dude. It is so good, dude. I'm excited. Mm-hmm. I'm so fucking excited, dude. Yeah. Man.
It's just a weird time because there's so like when Biden got in, we definitely all were just like, not my president, or like, let's see what a shit show this is going to be.
And it was the biggest shit show.
Yeah. And like now this time, like it's either the world's is burning, or like the world has been reborn is how people are acting right now.
Yeah.
And it is wild.
Dude, here's the deal. I remember back last election, I was like, I want Trump to win, but I almost hope he doesn't, because shit's going to get so bad that there's going to be a red wave, and there's no way we don't get him in again after that. You know, there's like no way we're not red afterwards, because they're going to fuck up so much shit over 4 years.
The crazy thing, though, is like
They did that. And
there's still people that are just like, oh my God, we have a fascist coming in. Like,
but you have to remember, there's a certain amount of population who's mentally disabled, and we can't help that. You know? And so there's a certain amount of the population that just watches CNN, and those people are not, you can't fix them. They mentally have something wrong with them.
Or they could just not, like, they're just brainwashed.
Yeah, I mean, mentally handicapped, mentally ill.
Shaun.
Same thing.
No. Because very easy, like, they don't see anything else. So very quickly, like now with especially one of the executive orders was you can't
the
free speech.
Yeah, free speech for social media and the news and shit.
Yeah.
You can't censor and
censor, like, was it specifically political?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So hopefully now, like, people will be able to see more of the other side.
On a real note, dude, what it is it's like when we were down in North Carolina years ago for Zach's wedding.
South Carolina.
And we were driving back, we were driving up the mountain, and we were listening to that radio station. You remember that?
Yes.
And at the time, I had been listening to a lot of 106.3, which in our area is like Republican radio. I quit listening to Republican radio because Sean Hannity annoyed the literal fuck out of me, that I could not handle it anymore, and I had to stop. I just quit listening to that channel altogether because he pissed me off so much. That guy is such a fucking loser. Anyways, that's me being biased right there.
Yeah.
But so these stations, dude, are so biased. And we were listening to that one station, and
because it was about like the unemployment rates or something, and the race
and unemployment rates, and how they had it structured is they had 3 different measurements for like whites, Latinos, and blacks. And so they measured them in 3 different ways, and they were like, Latinos and blacks are being repressed so much or whatever.
Yeah, because it was really interesting because like we just had like heard these statistics when we were back home.
Yeah.
About like whatever, just the different, and it was like specific like percentages, like of the 30% unemployment rate.
Yeah.
20% is white, whatever.
And the thing was, it was all the 3 same measurements. And it was on the Republican radio.
And it was very specific.
Very specific. This one, not specific at all. 3 different types of measurements on a Democrat radio. And we were like, okay.
And it was very obviously made to seem like more blacks and Latinos were losing their jobs than whites.
And it was actually whites who were losing more jobs. And so it was like, dude, this is so misleading that if you only listen to this radio station, you would think there's racism based on like layoffs.
Oh yeah, because I think what had to do with it was because there was more whites in that field, because it was like desk positions, because it was at the very beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah,
and so it was like obviously, sure, blacks could have a high percentage of like layoffs out of the whole black community, but it'd because like only 10% of secretaries are blacks.
Right.
So it's just like, okay, well, it's not just the fact that they're black, it's the fact that one, there's so few in the field.
Right. Yep.
And like it just happened to be that way.
Exactly. Yep.
So it was just very interesting, and it was because I remember too the Democratic radio like didn't actually give the percentages.
They didn't.
They just said like, oh yeah, blacks are getting laid off the most, and we're just like, okay, but where's the data to follow this?
Yeah, and then they were like, yeah, the whites are being laid off only at 20%. And it's like, okay, well, where's the percentage for the other? So anyways, what it does come down to actually, because like I do know a lot of people, actually an individual that I actually look up to a lot, I will not mention their name, supports the other side, and I'm blown away that is the case. Hurts me a little bit, but still look up to him, still love him, so that is life. I think it honestly has to do more with being more of a sheep, a follower.
Yeah.
I think it has more to do with that and like the brainwash thing, like you said, than anything else. When you look at only one set of facts and you're not willing to look at the big overlaying picture, it's hard to see. But one thing I've been doing forever, dude, my whole life, is I always look at the other side. My whole life, not like even politics, just everything.
It's been so hard the past 4 to 8 years, though.
It's just that I think it's people's personality. People don't care. I think people are so they're so comfortable, and they're so distracted.
But think about like whenever we Google search anything, like whenever we see anything on Instagram from any of the Republican news sites, if we Google search it, we can't find it.
Yep.
or it'll be like some headline that makes it seem like
Right.
it's like not that bad or whatever.
Yeah, you have to really dig a lot deeper.
Yeah.
You have to look for different media. It's the same thing. Like we come on here all the time and we talk about your food. It's the same thing with your food. We had no idea the food was this serious and this big of an issue until a few years ago when we started adding these pages. And it's 3 years ago. We start adding these pages and we're like, wait a second, is this true? And then it's like you dive in deeper, and you first see it on social media. Then you start digging deeper, listening to podcasts about it, researching the certain doctors or certain like health professionals that are talking about it. And you dig into these things and you're like, what the fuck is going on? Then we go to Europe and we pay attention when we're in Europe. We can eat whatever we want and we feel fine. We can drink whatever we want and we feel fine. The next day we have beers and we're like energized, ready to take on the night. We're not tired and sleepy.
Yeah, wanting to go to a nightclub.
Yeah. It's just crazy, dude, that like, and so anyways, all it is once you start, you need to take the initiative to start learning. And I think like I've always been, I love learning about stuff I'm interested in, always have been. I started learning about like finance and shit when I was like 16. I thought it was super fascinating, just like saving money and like controlling your finances and stuff. And same thing with lifting. I've been reading articles on lifting weights since I was 14. Like when I was into some steroids, Jesus, I would put the amount of hours I put in researching that compared to doing my schoolwork.
Shaun had like a full notebook.
Yo.
Okay. Also, let's remember schoolwork.
Here's the deal, dude. It's kind of a joke.
Shaun didn't have any.
Minimal schoolwork.
When Shaun met me, he honestly was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Studying." He's like, "You have to study?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then I had him help me, and he's like, "What does any of this mean?" And I'm like, "Yep."
I was like, "You're in the wrong major."
Honestly. Anyways, let's wrap this up so we can get to our topic.
Yeah, it's just that once you start opening your eyes, once you start caring about something, you see more and more and more of it. It's like your RAS, your reticular activating system. And this actually will tie right into what we're talking about today. The more you notice shit, the easier it becomes to have like your gut feelings or your like what's bullshit, what's not, how you can learn from things, how you can get better and shit like that. And so I think that's all it is with the people that aren't fans of Trump and stuff and aren't fans of what's coming in, is they just aren't there yet. Whether they're sheep, they don't care, they're too comfortable, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I'm happy.
We were very upset that we didn't have the same day as.
We were hoping baby was born on Inauguration Day. We were really hoping. But
Ooh, give me your phone quick.
That's all right. Just tell me when Donald Trump's birthday is, and then we'll just hold you off till then.
Anyways, what do you got for us?
All right, dude. So yesterday we went down, got some coffee, and we ran into Catherine. And then Catherine messaged me today while I was Snapchatting her about some stuff, and she asked me a question. She said, what are the 3 things you wish you knew before you started flipping real estate? And I thought, boy, what a good conversation to have for the folks listening.
Very good.
Very good. So, what I wish I would have known. The first thing that I wish I would have known is everything costs more than you think and takes longer than you think. Getting in when I first was doing rehab budgets, I was so, like, it wasn't terribly off, but it was off. Like, oh, this will take 2-3 days and it'd take a week. This will be $5,000 and it was $8,000 and stuff. And a lot of it, but then on the other thing though, I will say this. Mold isn't as scary as it seems. There were some things right away I was super scared of that I was like, oh my God, what could you ever do? And a lot of it's like not a big deal, including like some foundation stuff. Like most of the time, foundation issues, unless it's like cracked and caving in, if you're getting some water in the basement and stuff, most of the time it's a grading issue or no gutters.
Right.
And so, like, I mean, we bought a lot of houses now that have had water leaks that we do grading and we do gutters and the problem's solved. And then maybe we seal the basement or whatever. But for the most part, the first thing I wish I would have known, for the most part, things cost more than you'd expect and they take longer than you'd expect.
Yes.
And even to this day, that happens a lot. We're experiencing that a lot with. So I'm really good at assigning a room a number. So I'm really good at like walking a property and having square footage prices, putting a number on a bathroom, putting a number on a kitchen, whatever. Like I'm pretty good at that. What I've been struggling with moving into customer jobs is the breakdown of it and why it actually costs that and stuff. And then we're not just doing flip grade, we're doing what customers want, and that becomes a whole new
and timing of it too.
Timing's is difficult too.
Just because we are obviously more picky with customer jobs than we are with flips.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot, like it's not a huge difference, but like was one small nick in a customer's wall and we like made sure to someone went back to fix it.
Right.
On a flip we would just leave it.
Right. Yep, that's true. The second thing I wish I would have known, a lot of the time quality is more important than price, especially in contractors. We started out in the game hiring people at like 18 an hour to 25 an hour. I don't think when we started out we paid anyone more than 25 an hour.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And that was for more like skilled work, putting up headers, shit like that. So we started out 18 to 25 an hour, maybe 30 max. I don't even think so though. And we had a lot of things go wrong in those first 2 years. We had a lot of issues. I had to fire a lot of contractors.
Yeah.
I had to fire a lot of contractors.
And then we got lucky with one.
Yeah, and then, so what happened was, that was happening. Well, then I had a friend reach out from high school, say, hey, my dad's looking for work. So awesome, I'd love to chat with him. Boom, chat with him. And I'm like, I'd love to try you out. And he's like, this is what I'm looking for. And I'm like, that's more than I've ever paid anyone.
Let's try it.
Let's do it. Like, at this point, we've been through 2 years of bullshit. Trying to pay people 25 an hour and stuff. So I'm like, you've got 25 years experience. You're asking for more, but fuck it, dude. Let's try it. The amount that helped us and continues to help us years later is insane. Do we have to up our price on customer jobs? Yep. Do we have to factor in more money for when we're flipping? Yes. Is our quality project way better? For sure. Are our repairs and fixes anywhere near the amount? No. Still happens, absolutely, but it's drastically less. So that right there, that one thing was so beneficial to the company. And I'll get into other things of why. But quality for our contractors turned out to be the thing over a cheap contractor. And the other thing actually, which was interesting, is we actually spend more on a lot of our products now too. We get better materials.
Yeah. So this is also what we're it costs more because we for a couple things. I mean, we'd buy like the cheapest things we could get.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'd have to either go back because it would break, or it just like wouldn't work out well or whatever. Because
I mean, one example was this, and this was on a rental, but this is still a good example. We need to replace a faucet at a rental, and I didn't want to buy the $70 Moen faucet. Didn't want to buy the $70 Moen faucet, so I bought the $30 Fister. I think that's what they call it, Fister.
I think so.
So I bought the $30 Fister faucet. 9 months later, it was leaking, and I had to go replace it on a weekend. It's probably a weekend.
Yeah.
Feels like it was on a weekend.
It was always on a weekend.
Anytime anything breaks, dude,
It's on a weekend.
it's on a Friday night for the most part. You get told about it Friday about 7, 8 p.m. Oh, we haven't had heat for 2 days, and we figured we'd tell you now.
Or 3:30 p.m., like right when everything's about to
Yeah.
close. Yeah.
Yeah, either way, it's great and stuff. So, but yeah, that was one thing where it was like, okay, so not only did I have to buy the $70 faucet anyways, I had to install it twice, and the second time I had to do it when it wasn't convenient. And so, and at this point, I had already met plumbers in the field, talked to plumbers in the field, and knew to only buy Moen. I'm like, what do these fucking idiots know? Turns out a lot.
Yep.
So materials is one thing we also started doing, quality over price.
You don't have to get the most expensive one, though.
You do not have to get the most expensive one. Oftentimes, the most expensive one does not mean the best quality. That's actually very common. Most expensive is not the best quality. Sometimes, but usually not. But what we also noticed with materials, shit, I lost my train of thought.
Quality?
Yeah.
It's just been nice with like with customers, because if we get we advise them, like we have a base price of things, and we tell them like we've talked to plumbers, like this is the best one, the one you're gonna have the least amount of issues with. And if they want to go with the cheap one, if it's like a material like error and like we have to go fix it, and it was because they picked the cheapest one, we'll charge them to fix it.
Yeah.
But if it's the one that we suggested, then like we'll fix it
Yeah.
for free. But most of the time we don't have to fix it because we know which brands last.
Yeah. Keep in mind, all this stuff is dependent on the sale price. So like we got a project going on right now. The sale price is going to be $125,000, $135,000, something like that. We are not putting any high-end anything. It is all entry level. We're still doing Moen, faucets and shit like that. But like we're not doing the high-end shit because your max sale price is $135,000. Like it doesn't warrant
But
it.
yeah, we're doing like the Moen Chrome, not the Moen Black.
Right, exactly. Boom, boom. So the third thing to finish her question was, wait, where'd it go? Oh, you didn't write it.
I think we came up with it later.
Okay, was to, it was the little things. Help me, what was it? Plan ahead?
Plan ahead.
Plan ahead. And so...
The little things take more time than you think.
Yeah, so the third thing going into flipping is to plan ahead and don't neglect the little things. And so like, fuck, even this year, 4 years into flipping, we still will not fucking take curb appeal as the first thing we need to be on.
We had all summer long.
All summer, dude. All fucking summer long. Good.
Summer. All nice summer to fucking do the outside of this one flip we were doing. And guess what? We waited until it was colder out in September.
With 1 week left.
With 1 week left to try and grow grass.
Yeah.
And wash the side of the house.
It is fucking retarded, dude.
So dumb. So then, like, we were already done. We weren't there. No one was working there. So someone had to drive out there every single day to water the fucking grass.
It's very foolish. Very foolish.
Especially when we had an entire month of May and June, I think, that rained every single day.
Yeah. It's those things. It's neglecting the little things. It's the not planning ahead. There's been times when we didn't have things planned out and we were getting hardwood floors finished before we were doing painting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are we doing? Never in a world should you ever. Like, what the frick? So that was all, that's a nightmare. It's the
doing all the little patches of the nicks of, because obviously, like, you're going to do your drywall towards the beginning.
Yep.
And paint probably in the middle towards the beginning-ish. So obviously with, like, moving flooring around and other materials, like
doing trim work.
Right. Like, you're going to get some nicks and bumps in the walls.
Yeah.
Do not wait until the very last 2 days.
Yeah.
To patch those, because you have to patch them and then you have
for them to dry.
And then you can paint it. And it's just the worst.
Yeah, it's really like what would have been nice to know and what we know now is like at the end of a project you might think you got a day or two to wrap up. Nope, schedule a week.
Depending on the size of the house.
Yeah.
We've had a couple really big houses schedule 2 weeks.
Yep. Yeah, we've had some 2,800 square foot houses, and all your little finishing touches, maybe your puttying trim.
Oh my gosh, if you paint yourself, if you do painting yourself and don't hire people, and you bumped a roller on the ceiling and you have to paint over with white. Oh my God, I think we had a million of those too.
Yeah.
That we had waited until the very last minute to do.
It's just shit like that, dude. It takes so much longer than you think. You got to clean so much more than you think. It's just do not neglect the little things and plan ahead. I cannot stress it enough. I wish I would have known it before. We know it now, and we still fuck it up half the time.
Mm-hmm.
But
to kind of piggyback off that a little bit, always keep it clean. Always.
Keeping it clean helps so much.
So much. Obviously, it sucks here in the wintertime because, like, we have to do so much stuff inside versus outside. So, like, cutting trim has to be done inside, so then you're getting sawdust everywhere. So, like, that is one thing to keep in mind of just, like, okay, as soon as trim is done, like, vacuum up that whole area, wipe down the walls, wipe down the doors, because that sawdust sticks to fucking everything, and you do not want it trailing through the house.
Right. So those are the three things. I said to her also, like, a little bonus. You're going to lose money. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen. So just have some extra money. You're not going to make as much as you think. That's okay. You're going to lose fucking money. And so the only thing I can say is if you're losing money, I hope it hurts. Because then you'll learn. Because if you lose 10, dude, like I'll tell you right now, if you don't have 10 grand and you lose 10 grand, you're really going to fucking pay attention to that lesson.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the time we had C channel on our roof. I didn't know what the fuck a C channel was, dude. Now, anytime I see anything like a C channel, I automatically am like, if I can't go up there and pull up a little shingle to look, I'm factoring an extra 10 grand. I don't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I can go up there and pick up a little corner and look underneath where the gutter is in the roof, and I can tell that it's not, we're good. I'll take that off. But if I'm not allowed to do that, extra 10. I'm not even risking it.
Mm-hmm.
And if that means I don't get a deal, so be it.
Yeah.
And I tell a customer that too. Like, I'll go to customer jobs. I'll be like, hey, see that right there? That's a C channel. I said, now I don't know what the fuck's under it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you can have this could be an $8,000 project, or this can be a $15,000 project. I don't know where it'll be. I'm telling you, until we start pulling it up, that's what you got living there.
Mm-hmm.
And so that you're going to lose money, dude, and accept that you're going to lose money. But if you're learning, you're going to win more than you lose.
Mm-hmm.
You want to read some, or you just want me to read this
It
off?
doesn't matter. I can.
Okay, go ahead.
Why? Because this is my mess.
It's mostly because I just feel like I'm just rambling on this bitch.
That's what you always do.
Yeah, no. Okay, feed me some.
Run your numbers. When you run in your numbers, if it's like a smaller project, especially, or a cheaper project, always factor in a minimum of $5,000
For miscellaneous.
for miscellaneous stuff. We've heard of actually some some contractors that like
And flippers.
that like for every project, it's like a minimum of $20K.
It's not necessarily that, it's percentage based.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so depending on like the size of the project and depending on the sale price of the project, it's anywhere from like 5 to 10% budgeted for miscellaneous.
Mm-hmm. And then if it's like a larger project or if you're going to do higher end stuff, miscellaneous should be a minimum of 10,000.
Yeah.
I think this last project we had, Strum, I bet you our miscellaneous was way more than 10,000 on that one.
It was.
It was also a burn house, so we obviously had a factor in for that too.
Yep.
We have no clue what we might find underneath.
Yep. Yeah, your miscellaneous, always have it. Yeah, always have a miscellaneous. 5,000 for smaller projects or cheaper projects, 10,000 for more expensive or bigger projects.
Yeah, I mean, we just have
at a minimum.
We have a 1-bed, 1-bath right now, and that we factored in $5,000 because
We're gonna fucking use it, dude.
Yeah.
We use it every time.
Yep. Pre-inspection.
Okay. Before we touch on that,
Okay.
go up to the top on the next side and read out what that section heading is.
The most beneficial things that we've learned.
So what we're sharing with you guys is what we wish we would have known ahead of time.
Oh, that would kind of go there. Yeah.
This next section is the most beneficial things we've learned and we actually knew early on in flipping. We didn't know it right away, but we knew it early on. Mm-hmm. Read off the first part, please, up there.
Hiring and working with people who know rehabbing or flipping. Getting experts in the field.
All right, so this is what I found most beneficial. Right away in business, Ryan and I were getting coaching from Josh and Audrey Borcharding. They have been in the real estate game for 12 years at that point or something like that, right around that. They had flipped a bunch of houses. They had a big rental portfolio. They had a real estate brokerage. They had it going on. And we were getting coaching from them. And something they taught us early on was that right now, because Ryan and I, we got started in 2021 is when we really got rolling into things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2021 is when we started like really like flipping and rolling and getting a lot of rentals and shit. And they said to us, right now, shit's hot and everything sells like hotcakes. They said, we lived through a time where most of our flipping was in a down market. They were flipping in 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, when the market wasn't hot. And so they're like, you need to stand out. So how do you stand out from all the other properties on the market? You got a stage. They're like, doesn't matter, you got a stage. So, okay. House should be move-in ready. People shouldn't, you can't sell a house. You shouldn't be selling the house that's not move-in ready. You should try to have a few higher end, nice touching finishes to make it to make it just stand out from the norm, right? And the last thing they said is when things start to slow up a lot, you need to start doing pre-inspections. And right off the bat, we were doing the staging, 100%. Most of the properties move-in ready. Okay. And at the time, guys, we didn't have to do any of these things. And when I branched off and it was Kyle and I mostly doing all this stuff, I knew we didn't have to do this stuff. But I know it cost us money. I know it cost us a lot of money. But I was starting at building a base. I wanted to build a base. I wanted to get an understanding. So staging always, making the houses move-in ready, trying to put a couple nice little touches on the place. And we were doing that. And we never had anything sit even up to 2 weeks long. It was always accepted offer before 2 weeks. Depending on the market, dude, depends. You got to play your market. It depends if you should be listing low for it to run up because there's a lot of competition, or if you should be listing a little high and accepting some offers below value, or listing right at market value and hoping for an offer around it. And you learn that. I mean, it goes with the market. We seen that. Like right now it's not a competitive market. So don't take and put it low hoping to fucking get a bidding war because there's not that many people bidding.
But also don't price it too high right now because...
No, you got to, like right now you should be right around market value, maybe just a smidge high and do a drop. And that's that. Or you're a smidge high and you're hoping for someone to come in at 5,000-10,000 under for an accepted offer. So boom, that's something big we learned. Well, so the pre-inspection thing was one thing we didn't take too seriously until recently. I wouldn't say until recent. Well, until like probably June of this year is when we really started doing that. We got hit. It was after the Wissota property, so maybe February.
I don't think we had any flips. I think it was the Wissota and then
Elves maybe or something.
Yeah. Well, we had Bellevue in there.
Oh, that's right.
I don't think we didn't do one with Bellevue. But yeah, we did with Elves because the market was slowing down substantially. And they were bigger, more expensive houses.
So we were like, hey, let's get these done. That way we've got no surprises. It was nice because it gave us a hit list of things we could fix. So we get it in, we go, okay, 8 things that need to be fixed. It's not a surprise. We paid for the pre-inspection. Let's get it done. We fix those things, resubmit it. We get a clean inspection report. Boom, we can attach the report. That's one less contingency, one less thing that can fuck up a transaction. And when you've been into a transaction for 6 months because it's been a big fucking rehab, you stuck $100,000 into this bitch and it's going to the market and it's not closing for 45 days, the last thing you want is to be 30 days into your closing of 45 days and it fucking, they drop out and you got to fucking list again. It is the last thing you want to be worrying about.
Or you get stuck with a $15,000 bill because your well and septic failed.
That's happened too.
Which it would have been nice if we would have done pre-inspections with that property.
Thank you, honey. It would have been really nice.
Anyways.
So what we're getting at here is pre-inspection we learned was really good as well. And so, best practices and shit. Having those coaches that knew flipping, that helped us so much.
Yeah.
It helped our flipping game so much. But then the next thing that helped us even, I'm not going to say it helped us in a different way just as much, was getting great contractors to come in. They see the shit show we get ourselves into. They show us better tactics for accomplishing things. They show us people like that. They've been problem solving their whole lives. And they can solve almost any problem. It's such a beautiful thing, and it opens your mind on how to solve problems as well, and how to do different things, and what's right and what's wrong and stuff. Because starting out, we didn't do everything right, and so when you're working with guys who've been in the field 20 plus years, you're gonna and I'm not talking the crackheads that been in the field. I'm talking the guys that want to be paid more, the professionals that used to own their own business but don't want to do the hustle and bustle every day and just want to
coast until they retire.
They're independent contractors. They've got the experience. They've got the skills. They've got the quality. They're a little more expensive. They don't move as fast as, like a younger buck.
And they're so creative.
But they're fucking creative. They can come up with anything, dude. They come up with any fucking way to solve issues you run into. Oh, it's fucking beautiful, dude.
And I mean, it may take him a little bit of time. We had a wiring issue in this house, and we had Kyle look at it for hours, couldn't figure it out. And then we had our contractor Mike come look at it, and he's just like, it took me 3 hours, and 2.5 of those 3 hours were me just trying to figure out what was going on. And he's like, it only took me 10 minutes to fix it once I figured it out.
Yep.
And it's just like, I will gladly pay for the whole 3 hours.
100%, dude.
Just to have it all fixed.
Absolutely. It's
and especially with that one, because he's like, I don't know how a fire didn't happen. We're like, that's
well,
good.
there's that too. It is interesting, dude. Like, that has helped us so much with flipping. I know what to look for when I'm going to flip now. He's gone on multiple estimates with me to point out things I wouldn't have thought of. It's seriously so beneficial doing a lot of this stuff. And so it's awesome. I can't stress that enough, dude. Like,
and like Shaun has said, like, we've been in the business for 4 or 5 years, and we still miss stuff. And so it's just so nice to have those, like, experts or professionals, whatever.
Yep.
To see things that we don't see, we forget, and we'll get there, right?
Oh yeah.
But it just takes the time.
Yep, and it's good, dude. It's all these things that we do, and that's why I stress so much to so many people. Like, if you can have money before getting into flipping, it just opens up a lot of possibilities. It allows you to hire these guys that you can really learn from and fast forward your progress. That's why I'm such a big proponent of making money and then like rolling it into real estate. And even like getting into flipping and shit, I just recommend having money. It just helps so much. What else we got?
To piggyback off that too a little bit, is finding the smaller specialized places for materials. Because some of them can actually be cheaper. Like, we have a flooring place that we've made connections with now, so now our flooring is cheaper.
Yep.
Then we only have Menards here, but any big box store. And so finding those places too is really helpful, because they're also way more knowledgeable than we are.
Oh yeah.
Because you have to think they specialize in one product. And so they know everything about it.
Yeah, and even like, we got a guy, Tim, that comes and does our with Aero Building Products, that does our kitchens, and they're like 10 to 20% more than Menards, but the quality is way higher. He comes out and measures everything and builds a kitchen to your space. You don't have to spend time trying to build a kitchen. You don't have to spend time being the one like, oh, I think these are what the measurements are and stuff. Nope. You spend 10 to 20% more. They come out. They do everything.
They deliver them.
They deliver them. They send you plans. If there's something wrong, they fix it. They're right on it. Everything's a tighter fit, especially the countertops. It's beautiful, dude. It's huge. And sometimes you can't do it. Sometimes a flip doesn't allow it. Sometimes you got to go cheaper, and it is what it is. But when you can do it, it is so nice.
One thing we cannot stress enough is tracking.
Yeah.
Tracking everything.
And so we knew this before getting into flipping. We had already, been in business. Ryan and I had assisted living and stuff. And everything we did, dude, was broken down into budgets. I was the budget dude. What's up?
After people started stealing money from them.
Yeah, well, yeah. We still had like our P&Ls and tracking and everything.
Oh, yeah.
But I would say more like we had budgets for what we needed for clients and profit and loss and stuff.
But I'm saying like the house budgets.
Yeah, that happened afterwards.
Yeah. So it was a lesson learned then that very easily you can lose money if you don't keep track.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, you can. Money will be. People will steal. That is a fact. But what we learned from tracking and budgeting and stuff before, and then we rolled right into real estate, is you know what you need to be profitable.
Yeah.
And so, doing a budget, going and looking at a property, you go, well, I looked at this property. It's going to sell for this much. This is what I can buy it at. I got a budget of $40,000. You know that going in. So what are you going to do? You got $40,000 to make this work. So you track the fuck out of it. Figure out what you can do to put into that to hit your numbers. And that's how you're profitable. And I mean, that's what we did with clients. That's how we ran the business and stuff back then. And we do the same thing here. Tracking. Everything you do, track it all.
And like, especially like with flipping, like watching it through the process.
Huge.
Because we've made mistakes we didn't watch it through the process, and then we got to the end and we're like,
Yeah, we spent $20,000 more than we were supposed to.
yep. And it was because, like, towards the end with, like, some of the finishing products where we were like, well, let's get these lights that are $100 more a piece.
Because they look nice.
Because they look nicer. Let's get the sink that's $2,000 instead of $200. Like,
it's not good.
No.
Not good.
And so especially with houses, it's just so easy to go above and beyond.
It's really easy.
So yeah, watching your budget throughout the process. And also with tracking, track your own time. We know so many people that are in flipping that don't track their own time.
Flipping and rentals as well.
Yeah. And so they'll get done with the project and they're like, I made $30,000 on this. And we're like, okay, cool. Like, how many hours did you put into it? Oh, well,
I don't track that.
I don't track that.
I'm like, how much did you get paid? Well, I got paid $30,000. Well, how much did you get paid for your time being there? Oh, we don't do it that way. We just split money at the end. I'm like, oh, what if you worked 1,000 hours? Well, that's just part of flipping. I'm like, so you're not making dick.
Yeah. You might as well work a regular job.
Right.
So yeah, like we keep track of all of our hours, even like office hours that we put into projects.
100%.
Because we had to pay someone to do it. So we should be keeping track of it and it should be accounted for so we can see our true profit and loss on these projects.
I cannot stress this enough. And I've talked about it so many fucking times. People think business is freedom. That is not true. That is not true. Sure, there are freedom times. Like, yes, I can take Monday off to watch the inauguration. For sure. But you do not have more freedom because you own a business. Lots of the time, you have less. So, make it fucking count. Make it worth it. If you're making $25, $30, $35 an hour flipping because you're pouring in all these hours and you're not getting good deals and you're putting too much into the projects, you should really reconsider, because you could just go work a construction job with way less headache and make more with better benefits. And then then your brain is never filled with the extra bullshit, sourcing houses, insurance, paying your taxes, doing the budgets, doing your books. That's all gone. All you got to worry about is your job. So fucking track your time. If you're doing any of the shit outside of the actual work, track that too. Every hour has to be tracked. Otherwise, it isn't worth it.
And with that too, like having detailed scopes of services for the work that needs to be done. This is just so helpful because then, like, you can project like a timeline of how long things will take, and two, you can really get a good material list and figure out how much money you need to spend just in materials.
Yep, and you can give it to your guys, the people on the team. and they have a checklist to work off of, so they're not like, oh, I didn't know what to do next, so I went home or whatever. And or like they start doing shit that's out of order. You know, a lot of the times the guys will jump around to things that are easier because it's an easier task instead of doing like the next thing in line that's necessary. And the next thing you know, you've got the 5 hardest fucking tasks left at the end, and none of them made sense to go in that order. So you're like, well, now these 5 things you have to all do separately. So now like you can't even do them all. It's just, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like if you would have done it in the order that the scope of service had it in, you could have done multiple things at a time and people aren't bumping into each other.
Yeah. And it's also just super nice too because it's we like to use our scopes of services for tracking purposes too. So then we can see like, okay, this flooring took us 3 hours longer than it should have. Like, why was it? And then we can like ask the guys if we need to or whatever. We haven't really gotten to that phase in our business yet of analyzing numbers a whole lot yet. But we do have like 10 sheets of hours and stuff like that, so we can really look at it and break it down. And then it's easier for Shaun to do estimates because he's just like, okay, on average it takes us this long per square foot or whatever. One thing to really remember with flipping, this is not your house.
Oh, dude, this is not your house. Just because you want a fancy fucking kitchen does not mean you do a fancy kitchen. Just because you want to put up just because you want in your bathroom a wallpaper, you want a nice little posh wallpaper bathroom, this is not your fucking house. Knock it off. Oh, I want to do this color. I want a nice hazel. Stop it. Paint the walls fucking a light gray or a light tan. Knock it off.
So then the buyers can decide.
The buyers can decide, oh, I'm thinking these curtains. Don't put a fucking curtain up. That'll throw off the whole feng shui. That could be the make or break of someone buying your house. Do not put a fucking curtain or a blind up. Stop it.
I had to teach them that.
This ain't your fucking house, dude. So stop acting like it is.
That is like, it is really nice to keep that in mind because then there's so many things like you're just like, oh, okay, I can put in the silver sink instead of the black sink.
Bro, 100%.
Somehow, like, obviously some houses, like, will, if we know the market, like, we got it cheap enough and we know, hey, if we put in these couple of higher end finishes, we'll get more money and it'll way outweigh the cost of the materials, then we'll go with some of the cooler things.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I mean, the only thing we really experiment with is kitchen cabinet colors. If we're painting them ourselves.
Yeah.
If we're not painting them ourselves, then usually we just get white.
Yep.
White or pine.
Yeah. Yep. Like it's like a maple.
But then we like have 2 color schemes we stick with generally in all of our houses.
Brush nickel or oil or bronze.
But then we so we have like a light tan color that we paint or like gray color we paint, and then depending on those we have we go the brush nickel or the oil or bronze and stuff.
Yep. And then if you're doing the crushed ice with the brush nickel, you do white outlets and covers. If you're doing the natural linen with oil rub bronze, then you're doing almond plates and outlets and switches. So it's just learning that shit and doing that shit. We have pretty much one universal floor we do.
Yep. Which goes with both paint colors.
Yep.
Goes with any trim that we decide.
That's right.
So yeah, it just that's another thing like we did put was like have your set design for flipping.
Yeah.
Because then that way, like especially with that, like you know all the SKUs of stuff you're getting. So you know, okay, my faucet's gonna be $70 no matter what for this kitchen. My flooring is gonna be $2.25 per square foot. Like you know, you can break down that budget so much more specifically. And honestly, you have to do it once, maybe twice, and you'll learn like what items and things that you like,
That's
and
right.
just keep them in a document, track it, and it'll make the rest of your flipping project so much easier.
That's right. What we got next?
I think we just have one more. Higher end houses.
Yeah, so this is something we were taught by Josh and Audrey, and this is something that, we've tickled with it a little bit, and it's not great, and it's higher-end houses. Depending on your market, stay away from higher-end houses, I believe, for flipping. Here we won't do a flip that's going to sell over 400,000.
Generally, we try to stay away from even
350 or higher.
Yeah.
We've done a couple at 379.
Yeah.
380.
The sale price we were there, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean the buy price was too good to be true, so we had to just do it, bite the bullet. For those.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're thinking of Wasota.
No, I'm thinking of Elves.
Oh, yeah.
380s. We had it listed.
Yeah.
379.
Yeah, but I'm saying like what we bought it at was just too good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We do have one more thing to touch on, but yeah, those houses were bought. We did those because it made sense. But yeah, we've sold stuff that are past first-time home buyers, and we try to keep everything we do in the first-time home buyer range, or second-time home buyer, and so it when you get too far out of that range, holding costs are really high. And that's something a lot of people don't factor in. If you got to hold on to a property with a big loan for too long, it can really hurt you. And when you're up in those higher numbers, your decreases you have to do to get an offer are a lot different than when you're lower. When you're lower price, first time home buyer price for your area, you can drop it $5,000-$10,000 and see some traction. When you're up in those higher numbers, you'll see drops of $20,000 to $50,000 on a drop. And, if you're factoring a $50,000 profit and you have to make a $50,000 correction, that's a bad day for you. And if you got to make a $50,000 correction, another $10,000 or $20,000 correction, it's a real bad day for you. So we try to stay away from higher end flips. And
we've had a couple come through that we're just like, we could so easily make 60, 70, 80 grand if this sells for what market value actually is. But the issue is sometimes it may have to sit on the market for 3, 4, 5, 6.
Well, and we've seen
7 months.
We've seen those houses, and granted, we'll do a little extra stuff, but we'll see those houses that are similar comps that have been sitting there for 60, 90, 120 days that have dropped down in price $80,000. And it's like, okay, yeah, technically this is supposed to be worth this, but if we got to do what they do and our profit was 60, 70 grand, we're fucked. And so on properties like that, we do what we did on those two we had, and we do a lowball offer. And we go, hey, here's the deal. It's a realistic. If things got corrected, this is what it'd sell at. And this is what we got to put into it. And that's why you're getting this offer. And if you like it, awesome. If not, cool. And most of the time they tell us to kick rocks. But then there's been a few that it's like, yep, they're taking the offer. And who gives a fuck? Because yes, it's a higher end house. But if it sells 50,000 under, 60,000 under, which we had it factored in to sell, 50,000 under, and
we would
it still would have worked.
Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, that's how we do it. The last thing, was there anything on that other side?
Yeah.
We got to hit that real quick.
Yeah, your favorite line.
Oh, is there anything else?
No.
Or is it just that one?
It's just that one.
You can say it.
No, go for it. It's your saying.
Let me see it. purchase, right? And get a good deal?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Everything we just told you, it doesn't matter if you get a bad deal. If you're not running your numbers, if you don't know what to offer, if you're not getting a property at a good price, everything we just told you doesn't matter. You're going to lose money, so fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to do it, run some numbers, pad your numbers, be safe, and make a good fucking profit.
And you don't have to buy just because. Just because you went and looked at something doesn't mean you have to go buy it.
It is the reason we started doing customer work. Mm-hmm. We were looking at flip after flip after flip after flip, and I wasn't comfortable offering what customers wanted, and I was not going to get into the game of buying just to keep guys busy.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to start buying just to buy. So we started customer work, and that's what we do to keep our guys busy until we get good flips. Mm-hmm. And so that's how I decide to use our business. And I'm not going to just do flips and hope to not lose too much money to keep guys busy. I'll do customer work. We'll make a few bucks.
And that's how we were able to get our money out of our business in the first year.
That's so true, dude. We took out so much money.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
I mean, I shouldn't say the first year because it was the first year of Tutor Transformations. But
it was like our third year together.
Third year, yeah.
Yeah. But so, yeah, I mean, it is buy right. Mm-hmm. Real estate is buying right.
100%. This was the first year we did customer work, though, right? For the most part. Like really doing customer work.
Customer work all year long. Yep. It was. Mm-hmm. That's all I got, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I hope if you're in the flipping game that this is very helpful to you.
And be prepared too. Like obviously not all markets are the same. Our flipping market is way different than Green Bay's flipping market, which is 3 hours away.
Big diff.
And they're even really different compared to Milwaukee's.
And the Midwest is way fucking different than anywhere on a West Coast and East Coast and Arizona, down the South. It's just, we're so different from all that. I listened to some, and you want to know what? Marketing's different too. Mm-hmm. We've had people with franchise companies try to come here and try to run wholesaling companies like they do in big metro areas. 0 have been successful. Mm-hmm. 0. And I remember talking to AJ about it. AJ was following a dude for some sales training. And I remember him telling me he tried doing like the, sales pitch the guy recommended and just got horrible feedback from it. Compared to like a more maybe like back home country style, like more personable pitch,
Right. Like just start off having a conversation and then just be like, and they're just like, why'd you call? Oh yeah, I flip real estate.
Right. Where like other people in bigger metro areas, it's like a different culture. It's a different personality. You can just call people like that and get good. And a lot of those people, like I listen to the calls from some of those people and I'm like, dude, if I tried that, and I have tried it and it's not good.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if you want to start flipping, try and find someone else in your community that does it.
Yeah. Culture and market, dude. You learn in your market, learn in your culture around your market. Mm-hmm. Getting people like you were saying, Sam, who are in it and doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's honestly how we've learned so much about anything about flipping was just talking to the people that we know in the market.
And a lot of the times, people want to help. And we were in Wiscoria for a while before we got coaching. But like being in Wiscoria, your first meeting, don't just go up to these people and blow them up with questions. But if you're showing up and you're doing work, you're doing transactions, you're doing things, and people are seeing you're an actual mover or shaker, and then you start asking some questions and whatever, people want to help. Mm-hmm. And
people love coffee usually.
People love coffee. people love beer a lot of the time, getting a beer and stuff, and that's how Greg and I first had our first hangout.
Yeah.
was over a beer and stuff, and people that have been successful themselves and see people coming up and grinding, they want to help them be more successful. We just saw it today. We were out having coffee, and we saw a gentleman in landscaping, older, who has his company, been doing it a while, talking to two younger guys in their first year of landscaping, giving them pointers and shit. And it's the same thing. Like, if people see you're grinding, they want to hang out, they want to chat and stuff. They want to give you pointers. They want to help you along the way.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, me too. That was fun. I just realized something.
What?
I'll tell you in a second. All right, gang. Catch you on next one.
See ya.